welcome to Nerdling Rush, your source for everything nerdy and fun.
I'm Mo.
And I'm Dom.
Intern Ben, introduce yourself.
I'm Ben.
He's Ben, he sure is. That's my roommate Ben, everyone. Here as a special guest for this episode. We got a lot on the docket today, a lot of news going on, some big things in the world of nerd.
Oh my god, so many.
And some things in the not nerd world, but in movies, and it's important because representation is good.
Yes, it is. And, well, no, it's tied to the nerd world and everything. You want to start with that, since we're already kind of there?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's. There's no scripts here. We just kind of wig it. We go off the top.
I mean, why is this folder on my lap then? But okay.
Let's dust off those pages. What was it again, Mo? Remind me again. What was the non-nerdy thing?
Was it a non-nerdy thing?
Okay, we're cutting this part out. That was ridiculous.
Because I was just gonna go into the whole thing with the Hellboy casting and all that.
Oh, but that's nerd world related.
What was the non-nerd world related thing?
I thought it was the Freddy Mercury movie.
So, Freddy Mercury...
All right, we're going right into it. There it is.
You know what? Leave it all in.
This earlier this week, we finally got our first pictures of Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury in the upcoming biopic. I think it's entitled Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right.
So that picture came out, and he looks dead on perfect. I
was so stunned at how accurate he does look like Freddie Mercury.
Oh yeah, he's got the look down, he's got the pose down, just like that sort of stage presence that Freddie used to have.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, news just surfaced about a new actor being cast into the movie. Not sure what role he's going to be playing, but Mike Myers has been cast into the biopic as well now.
Ooh, wow, okay. Yeah, I'm curious. Like maybe as a manager or something like that?
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he plays because we haven't seen Mike Myers in a long while, and this really doesn't seem like... This doesn't seem like a movie that's in his wheelhouse. That being said, we have seen we've seen comedic actors take on more dramatic or more serious roles.
And I mean, we have seen him also in Inglourious Bastards playing a more serious role as the general who gave Michael Fassbender his assignment. So clearly, maybe he's open to coming back only in short spurts now for important roles.
Yeah,
or serious roles.
We'll see what happens. Actually, speaking of comedic actors that we're seeing again, this was also kind of making the rounds. Jim Carrey, beloved comedy icon of the 90s, he gave kind of a weird, somewhat depressing existential crisis.
What did you say? It was nihilistic?
Yeah, it was kind of nihilistic. So the story is he was on a red carpet at a fashion show, and we weren't able to cover the news earlier. He released a 15-minute video talking about how he's become a painter and how the two great loves of his life were acting and painting, and he's kind of shifted over and he's a tremendously amazing painter. I love the work that he does. But yeah, last week he was at this fashion show. On the red carpet, he was being interviewed, and he gave this kind of odd, meandering, somewhat depressing response about how, nothing around him was real, the other people around him weren't real and stuff. And it's gotten a lot of people kind of worried about him.
Well, I mean, yeah, the last little bit, he's been kind of off, I don't want to say off his rocker, but he's been a little bit off. A lot of things have happened, and I guess that comes with any sort of loss or stress that you're dealing with. You tend to be not the version of yourself that you put out there. Or maybe this is the non-Hollywood version of him that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and if he's someone that started waxing philosophic in his life and everything, it's certainly not something that's unprecedented. We've seen it from actors and musical acts and people in the public eye repeatedly. I think the main concern is he well?
Yeah.
But so long as he is, then yeah, more power to you.
I think he looks purely from how he looks. He seemed fine. I think he's just kind of like, I don't know, maybe it was either 100% him just like being out there, or it was an act, but he does seem kind of like just more in tune with himself now. It just seems kind of like that he doesn't seem like he's playing a character anymore.
Yeah.
He seems to be coming out and just being more real to himself, if that's what he believes in. So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting to see if that develops into something now more regular that we'll see from him.
Should be interesting either way.
And that was the Canadian Connection, the non-nerd portion of our show today. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Well, we need to have a percentage of Canadian content.
Right. CRTC, Canadian laws and media and stuff. Look it up. It's kind of fun.
It's really not. It's really not fun.
It got Justin Bieber onto Despacito and got that on every airwave we have.
Yeah, pretty much. But yes, our nerd portion of today, we start off with the the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the SNES.
There we go, we got there.
The production numbers are going up, according to President of Nintendo America, Reggie Reed, because last year's Nintendo Entertainment System pre-orders and they were so high and the demand was so high that they sold out and fans were wanting. Even the Nintendo Switch right now is hard to come by. Which just goes to show that he's basically saying, like, don't worry, like, we're upping production, there's going to be enough for everyone, but there's not even enough Nintendo Switches to go around.
Well, we saw this problem with the Wii. We didn't really see it too much with the Wii U, but, like, I agree with Kenny that is actually a really good system. It just wasn't properly utilized. But like this is a common problem for Nintendo. I remember when the 3DS first came out and people were jumping from store to store and calling ahead trying to reserve one. This is like maybe their third, fourth, or even fifth product where this is been an issue.
And the big thing for me is, like, don't they do research into demand and the consumer base and who their main audience is? You would think that they would have done like the research to back the numbers, or maybe it's just like nostalgia kicking in, or people are hearing good things so they want it more than Nintendo thought they'd have.
But it just gives me the idea that Nintendo doesn't believe in their product because they don't make enough to actually match a demand. So then, because Nintendo is still, even with Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo is still the king of gaming consoles. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
It is still the most recognizable name in gaming.
Yeah.
And then you have all these games that come out, and all these systems, but they never really fully back it up, it seems. They just kind of like go, well, here's what we've got. You guys like it? Oh, okay, well, sorry, we'll try to make more. Oh, crap. Do we have any more? Okay, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, the weird thing about that is, like, pre-orders are supposed to be what your market research is for a product like that. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen it happen with numerous other hobbies. The one that really sticks in my mind is Warhammer 40K, where hey, here's this package deal with of these awesome models with this standalone game, and you can use the models in your regular play. What are the pre-orders look like? Okay, really, really good. Cool. We're going to keep that on the shelves in store for an extended period of time. We're going to make a ton of these things to not only fill the pre-orders, but if that many people pre-ordered, they're going to get other people playing on it, and other people are going to want their own copy. Why Nintendo isn't following suit? The only explanation I can come up with is Nike's business model, which is, here's this exclusive shoe, we're making 4,000 of them, period. We could make enough for everybody, but we're Nike.
It doesn't make it like an exclusive item, or like maybe by doing that, the next one gets more people on board. That's really the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but the problem with that, especially for Nintendo, is twofold. On the one hand, for Nike, it hasn't increased their market share or anything like that. It's definitely given their brand a certain idea of exclusivity with their limited edition shoe runs.
Right.
But really the people that have financially prospered from it are the people that resell.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Reggie Reed was talking about in an interview recently. He was like, don't go online and overpay for one of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System classics. Just wait, we're going to have more coming. And that to me is concerning.
Yeah, and the second thing that where this kind of business model, that like Nike's business model, doesn't make sense for Nintendo, Nike is shoes. You get something limited edition and everything, you wear it for like a party night out or whatever, that serves its own purpose. This is a gaming system. If you can't have exclusive gaming systems. We live in an age of interconnectivity and social gaming. If you are one of 10 people that have this and the other 9 can't have it, what do you think is going to happen to the support when you release the next one?
Yeah.
And that's what I was actually going to say. I thought you were actually going to go over what I was going to say, is that the difference between shoes and gaming systems is that shoes, you could technically come out with a new pair every week.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. There is no one person can design it and then you send it to a factory and build it. Whereas a gaming system, you need years to develop it. I'm sure that when Switch came out, Nintendo goes, what's next? They're already starting to do whatever they want for the next one. So it's just like, you could sell this exclusive item like as you do for shoes. But the thing is, it's just, if you're doing that, you're lowering how much money you could make in one particular margin, like right away.
Yeah. That being said, we'll see what the up numbers are like.
Yeah.
Because like double of a quarter is still only half.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they up it to if they actually try to make a larger splash. Because as you were saying, Ben, they are still the most recognizable name in gaming. But in terms of market share, especially in North America, they have fallen behind both PlayStation and Microsoft, the Xbox. So they might have been hesitant for that. But it just doesn't make sense, the level of their hesitancy.
Yeah, and on that case, it's probably because people are kind of getting tired of playing Mario Party 23 and Mario Kart 65. You know,
I only have so many friends left.
Exactly. And that was the biggest thing with Switch, was when they showed Skyrim on being played. I was like, wait, are they allowing other games into it? Because if Nintendo allowed games like PlayStation and Xbox does, goodbye PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah.
It's game over. You guys don't have the recognizable faces that Nintendo has. You know, you don't have your Marios and stuff like that.
Right.
But now, you also have the exact same games that Nintendo has. So why wouldn't everybody just go ahead and buy something from Nintendo in the first place?
And Nintendo's always been the relative cheaper console of the group, right? And so you throw in the multi-platform games along with their recognizable Nintendo brands, and hey, you might have a competitor. But that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
We've got more news to dissect, a lot of things going on. The Witcher is getting a Netflix series. It's apparently going to be based on the novels, not so much the games.
Okay.
And even though the games were based on the novels, but I guess creative liberties get taken there.
I haven't really read the novels, so I can't speak to whether even the games are like if they're a retelling of the story in the novels or if they take place afterwards.
If you are a big Witcher fan, let us know how close the novels are to the games.
I mean, that wolf icon's pretty cool.
The author, apparently, Andrzej Sapkowski, is going to be consulting on the series, which is good, I guess.
Yeah, at least it'll keep to the general attitude of things. It's usually a good sign if the creator of the source material is on board and is being paid attention to when you have an adaptation of that source material.
Look at Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
As an example.
Yep. It works.
Yeah, cool. All right, that's all we got to say. Nice.
I guess the only thing I would really have to add to that is that back in the day, when something was on Netflix, I used to get really excited. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is going to be great. Netflix has kind of dwindled in quality, I find, recently. It's just kind of, it's shows and movies. I think they've kind of become, I don't want to say self-aware, but, they've become their own niche. So they're able to do their own things now, and it just hasn't reached that same level as it used to be.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I remember back when Marco Polo was first announced and released, people were just like, "Oh my god!" Netflix can do no wrong. And then a calendar year later, they're just like, "Hi, we're the only ones hosting and producing these Adam Sandler movies," and everyone went, "I'm sorry, what?" They throw money at a lot of experimental properties that otherwise wouldn't see the light of day. Things like Ozark. That is incredible. But you find me the production house that would take that for Netflix, for network television. Yeah. It would never happen. Okay, HBO might do it. Maybe Showtime.
Another recognizable one, Santa Clarita Diet. Try to get that on network TV.
It's not happening.
But I just mean, look at, within our realm, Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Defenders has been, depending on who you talk to, either great or terrible reviews.
Great, and Mo would agree it's terrible.
I don't say it's terrible. It's just that it cripples itself by leaning too heavily on the weakest elements of that entire universe.
In fairness, it was made before Iron Fist.
Yeah, and that was the problem.
Anyway, Ben, back to you.
Death Note now. Death Note received with a huge amount of backlash. I'm not going to lie, I found it entertaining because I never actually saw the original anime or read anything previously.
Okay.
But I could definitely see, especially when I started to look it up after, why people are annoyed, and I totally get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it.
But that's the kind of thing, right? I think Netflix has sort of gotten to the point where they slap Netflix on it, and they assume that their brand itself is enough to warrant maybe lower quality projects to be deemed as good quality stuff. I think they've kind of gotten to that point.
It totally works.
Yeah,
but when you have other competitors like Amazon Prime releasing exclusive stuff like The Tick, which I hear is amazing.
I'm so excited for
I
that.
really want to watch that. But with now that they have actual legitimate competition with other projects and good quality stuff, mind you.
Yeah.
They can't just slap Netflix on it and regardless of the quality assume that people are going to come running in droves.
Yes, and we haven't seen a large habit of that, but I will admit that the general overall quality has taken a step down. But that being said, there was a report that came out towards the end of last week that said of people polled, overwhelmingly, I think it was something like 70% of people that consume streaming material still say Netflix is the best compared to everyone else in terms of original content.
Right.
Because, yes, Amazon Prime has things like The Tick, which is, by all reports...
American Gods, too.
Astounding, yeah. American Gods, which is astounding, which is really good. Do they have anything like Voltron, Legendary Defender? Do they have anything like Castlevania? That the broad quality appeal within other niches is something that Netflix still has down packed. Troll Hunters was amazing, and so And that's straight Netflix.
I mean, could the argument be made that because they've been around so long, they can afford that, and as time goes on, maybe they'll have a bit more competition?
Yeah, that is fair. I do agree with that sentiment, but we will see how things go forward.
How it plays.
Netflix is Nintendo of streaming services. So meta. So meta.
There we go. Meta Ben. He's actually really fast.
I'm really not.
So someone call Jim Carrey. We're getting philosophical up in here.
So next on our list is the Hellboy whitewashing controversy is a bit appeased with some news from Lionsgate and I believe Warner Bros. As well.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a top pick in mind for the Daimyo character, Agent Daimyo, and that's Daniel Day Kim from Hawaii Five-0.
Yeah, so Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park left Hawaii Five-0 after talks broke down where they wanted to be paid as much as the two leads of the show. The thing is, like, I used to watch that show back when I had cable, and yeah, those two guys weren't side characters. There were like whole seasons that revolved around their narratives. So like it didn't make sense that they were being paid much less when the stories for 2 seasons were about them. So they left, and now he hasn't been
cast.
Yeah, he hasn't been officially cast, but they're looking at him reportedly.
And the interesting thing is he's a big advocator for Asian representation in Hollywood. So, as much as this might be a way to sort of appease that controversy and get some buzz back into the movie, I think at the same time they need to make the correct choice and not just make one out of the sheer fact of making one.
Yeah. Actually, in a related thing, this story is a couple of days old, but I just wanted to touch on it briefly.
Mo, we have to stay current. Come on.
No, this actually leads into current as well, but in a
I'm joshing you. Go.
So the lead actress for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the one who plays Quake.
Okay. Nerdling
Chloe
Rush.
Bennett.
Chloe Bennett,
there it
thank
is.
you.
Nerdling Rush bad with names except when we have Ben.
Thank the gods for interns.
Her last name is Bennett.
Yeah.
Well, that's your story, I think. So go ahead.
So Chloe Bennett, she came out in support of the original actor for that role in Hellboy stepping down over the whole whitewashing controversy. And she got immediately attacked on her social media. I think it was her Instagram, because her character, Daisy, in the comics is Asian. To which the funny thing is, Chloe Bennett is half Asian. Now, I think she's half Chinese. Her last name legally is Wong, and she changed it. And she came out and said in a reply to being called out as just being another example of this whitewashing, going, "Excuse me, I had to change my name from Wong so that I would get roles in Hollywood." And that started a whole new discussion on that side of things.
You are 100% correct. It is fact checked. She is of Chinese descent.
Oh, excellent.
Like, how could somebody not tell she was of Asian descent?
I mean, people just make reactionary comments, man.
Very clearly. I mean, that bothers me.
Yeah.
Not that she's of half Asian descent.
Wow,
people make
Ben.
reactionary comments.
I'm very glad that you qualified that.
Yeah. It's 2017. Anything can happen on the internet.
That's true. Now, the way that this relates to other current nerd news, Inhumans.
Yeah, that.
What the hell? Okay, so I give props to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for continuing after the second Captain America movie literally removed their entire plot structure from them by blowing up S.H.I.E.L.D.
And even when they had really shaky seasons.
Yeah.
The point where people were like, is it going to get canceled?
Yeah, the fact that it's continued, it still has its viewer base. Is it great TV? No, but it's enjoyable. It's good popcorn time. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., whether you love it or you hate it, it introduced the concept of Inhumans by doing what was in the comics a much later story where Terrigen gets into the ecosystem. Yes. People who have an Inhuman gene started getting powers and everything, and they worked that angle of things so that they would continue having stories after, again, their entire plot structure was literally nuked by the movies.
Yes.
So, we finally got Inhumans after being on the back burner for the movies and being canceled and taken off the list and not knowing what was happening. It got announced. I was super psyched about it. And then they released it. And how the hell do you do this to an Eisner Award-winning storyline?
I think where the problem lies is they kind of made it for the sake of making it, because they said, okay, we'll do the movie. This movie is planned, and then it didn't quite work out with scheduling or what have you, and then they're like, how else can we do this?
I can tell you exactly what happened. So Ike Perlmutter was part of Marvel Studios. He's basically, I think, the CEO of Marvel Entertainment.
Yeah, so Ike Perlmutter in the 90s, he bought all of Marvel. He was a toy, mogul, and he's also one of the most egomaniacal, comic book evil, I have all the money so I make all the rules people in existence.
Yeah. And everybody who has ever worked with him has said that he is one of the most difficult people to work with ever. He was the one who really wanted Inhumans to be done. Some say it's a response to, Fox doing so well with
the mutants.
X-Men and mutants. They're like, well, we can have that on our own. So he was like, we're going to make this movie. And Kevin Feige goes, well, it's not really in my plans. It doesn't really fit with what we're currently trying to do. It'd just be so out there. And he goes, no, we're making the movie, and that's what's happening. So it was announced.
Yeah.
And to very little fanfare, let's be honest. As much as it could be a great story, etc., it was the least appealing point to most people.
Right, because in the general movie-going population don't know what it is. The heavy, sweaty nerds like me and Mo know the Inhumans, pretty excited for it. But yes, the general movie-going Marvel fan base that aren't super comic nerds would not have been as hyped.
Exactly. And then, basically, the tension got so bad at Marvel between Feige and Perlmutter that they got finally split. Perlmutter was sent to TV.
Yeah.
They said, fine, you're taking care of the TV, which is why he's in charge of Daredevil, the whole Defenders cast, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and now Inhumans, which is why you're probably never going to see Daredevil on the big screen because of Perlmutter. Mm-hmm. And so that's what's happened. Once he was gone from the movie slate, they said, well, we don't need to make Inhumans anymore, so cut that right out.
Yeah.
And, let's never talk about it again.
Yeah.
And so now it's gone, and then he decided, well, if they're not going to make it, I'm going to make it for TV.
So the reason why I mentioned the whole Eisner Award thing, and the reason why Inhumans has always struggled to find a strong ongoing comic and a strong audience, is because it doesn't function narratively with the rest of Marvel. Their iconic story was in 1999. It was just entitled Inhumans. It was Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee.
Oh, I love Jay Lee.
And it won an Eisner Award. And all the comic was the royal family and Black Bolt trying to lead them through this crisis where human beings were encroaching onto their lands at the same time that Black Bolt's younger brother, Maximus, makes a coup attempt. It explored the idea of this eugenics utopia, because that's what the Inhumans are. You have the royal family that rules absolutely, and when you undergo the Terrigenesis ritual and gain your powers, depending on what your mutation is, that slots you into where you go in the societal hierarchy.
Right.
what they revealed in that comic was that because the Inhumans are the result of basically weapons testing and genetic mutation by the Kree, an alien race, they don't just randomize what they get. Every generation fulfills all of the slots within its societal structure. And like the powers are basically adaptive to their societal needs. So during times of like just before heavier conflict will happen, you'll see more and more of these
warrior-like Inhumans. Okay, cool.
Exactly. During times of peace, they're more centered around growing, healing, diplomacy. However, genetics helps you in diplomacy.
Debate skills, I guess.
But the entire idea was, what if the Mad Doc eugenics worked? Because their society can only work as this sort of absolute monarchy, because otherwise it would be reigning chaos.
Right. And then we compare that to what they've done with the movie, the movie/television series.
Well, the television series is trying to do the same thing, but it's occupying the same space as, hey, here's fun adventure time with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
Because it's directly tied to that.
Right.
And those two don't work. It didn't work in the comics, and it's not working here. And one of the biggest problems is it just feels sad. Like everything that you see, like the acting in the TV series is really bland.
And no like, you know, negative comments towards the actors. I'm sure they did the best they could with what they were given. Yeah. Apparently the writing falls flat in a lot of places. Oh, yeah. There's one, I don't remember his name, but there's one Inhuman who can basically change events, right? He can experience something, and if it doesn't go well, he can go back in time and change it. And at one point, something happens where someone almost dies, and he prevents that. But then there's a slapstick gag where he falls face first over something. Why? So
that shouldn't be
inconsistencies with the character and the writing.
Well, and it also ran into the issue into the same issue as the Terminator films, where here's the trailer, here's the twist in the trailer. The whole thing where Maximus leads this coup against his brother and the other royals. And the thing is, what made the comic, that particular comic that they're using as a source material for this, so amazing was the exploration of this society that was really different, that was really standalone from your average Marvel fare. As an outlier, it works. But this needs to be tied to everything else, and it needs to have a season-long story. So right where it begins, you're not able to explore any of this. You have the royal family just scattered across the planet Earth, and they're trying to link up with one another, and it's just such a mess.
And I think another one of the big points is that as much as, you know, the low budget, I don't want to say low budget, but lower budget compared to a movie that these TV shows have, one of the big complaints is the Inhumans looks cheap. Set design, costume design, CG, what have you. It looks really cheap, and Ben looks like he's about to explode.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know much about me, about being the intern, I am a trained cinematographer. This is what I studied. My dream is to shoot on IMAX cameras. When I see the Inhumans and what they did with those cameras...
Yep.
You have the world in your hand, and you use the cheapest sets, the cheapest costumes, people who don't know how to use IMAX cameras, and you get something that looks absolutely terrible.
Well, you want to know why all of it looks so cheap and looks so dated? It's this simple. Look at all of the Netflix series and the way that they give a nod to classic costumes without directly incorporating them. That it's usually a one-off thing. The most that you saw of a proper costume has been with Luke Cage and the white t-shirt and jeans, because Luke Cage's been that in his modern run.
Right.
And you only saw that in Defenders. You didn't even see that in his series. He was wearing the hoodie because it was all about Trayvon Martin and black and white. all of that was tied into it at the time. In 1999, Marvel was almost bankrupt. The entire comic book industry was about to go belly up.
Yeah.
So they went back to, hey, what is the cheapest way we can design characters and get this stuff rolled out? Flat colors across the entire body in form-fitting costumes. All of the Inhumans follow that design philosophy. The comic was printed with that design philosophy, and when they made the show, because it's Perlmutter and he's a moron, that's exactly what they did.
But then you spend your entire budget on getting the best camera in the world, and then
to waste it pretty much.
Exactly, but then you don't have the budget for anything else, and it just shows. And you're coming off of the summer where we had with arguably the biggest name in IMAX in the world on the moment. Christopher Nolan came out with Dunkirk.
Yeah.
The things he's done with those cameras for that movie and everything, all the other movies he's shot on IMAX, it's incredible. And you see how it can be used properly. And then they roll out this garbage. And the way it's shot, everything is small here. The shots are things that we've all seen before. There's nothing experimental or exciting about it.
Yeah.
It's literally it's basically, look, we have the best camera in the world. That's about it. It'll look great. It's going to be garbage, but the quality will be great.
To give you an idea of exactly what is meant by garbage shooting, there is this particular term called shot reverse shot, where you have two cameras, they're at crossways from each other, and it's how you shoot dialogue on the really cheap, really quickly.
It's sort of the staple of current filmmaking, right? If you go back to old movies, it's sort of like the medium shot and you have both actors in frame and they're talking, whereas now it's shot reverse shot.
The reason why they do that is because it spices up the cuts and everything a little bit, but it's really cheap and it's really easy to do. You don't have to worry about height differences, you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff, but it's incredibly lazy. It's usually used in soap operas just because they need to churn them out so quickly, and it's part of the reason why the Star Wars prequel trilogy was as boring to watch as it was, because almost all of the dialogue in those three films between two characters is done in shot reverse shot.
That's very true.
They do the same thing in this.
The thing with that too is that when you get an over the shoulder shot of someone talking to a character, in theory the idea is that the closer you get, the more personal something can become. Mm-hmm. So if if it's really all of a sudden something really deep happens and someone's about to say something really personal, you zoom in on that shot, you get up close, you get in their face, and whatever they say hits so much deeper. If you just use it for everything, then nothing matters.
Yeah.
Yep. If you bold everything in a paragraph, it's like taking a biology textbook and just highlighting every paragraph you come across. What have you actually highlighted?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. And I guess there's a myriad of reasons why this TV show doesn't work, and to give it the benefit of the doubt, it's the first two episodes. Maybe it gets better. Highly unlikely, but maybe it does. Maybe by the end of this, maybe it has a rocky first half and it gets better. I'm just being the optimist here. I want it to succeed. I want it to do well.
Yeah.
But it's tough to say that it'll be successful. If it gets renewed,
that's a
cool.
big if.
But definitely don't go see it in IMAX, I guess.
Nope.
Just watch it on TV, give it your 2 cents, and see if you like it.
To give you an idea of how bad this is on IMAX, they literally just stitched the first 2 episodes together and released it on IMAX, and they stitched it so badly that you don't have an end credits after the first episode, but you have a previously on before the second episode.
Oh no.
That is how badly they screwed the pooch. This is kindergarten level mistakes. Come on.
Yeah, Marvel they rarely have a dud. And I feel like to have a dud this bad is just not cool.
And you did it to an Eisner Award-winning work.
You're not getting over that anytime soon, are you?
No, I am not. How do you screw up what is handed to you on a silver platter?
I have an answer.
Oh.
Perlmutter.
Yeah, I freaking hate Ike Perlmutter.
And on that note, we move into the brighter side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Hang on, I gotta be a little more cynical for a bit. Hold on.
We've got some news out of Avengers 4. There's a casting call for a human being that resembles Nick Fury.
I mean, are we talking about eye patch white Nick Fury?
No. So the casting call officially states, someone who looks African-American, is aged between 30 and 50, is from 6'2" to 6'4" in chest size, is about 38 to 40. The applicant will need to be bald and must have a goatee or facial hair that you're willing to cut into a goatee to match the actor. So they need a body double for Nick Fury.
Okay.
So he's confirmed in Avengers 4. Woo!
I mean, yeah, but is this replacing Sam Jackson or having some sort of life decoy model for Sam Jackson?
If they bring in the life model decoys, that'd be so sweet. / Nick Fury's actually a Skrull.
Sam Jackson, Nick Fury, has been a Skrull the entire time. You know who wasn't a Skrull? Shamar Moore, Nick Fury.
But what if he's like a benevolent Skrull?
I mean, well, actually, those did kind of exist.
See?
But even beyond, like, I would love to see Shamar Moore playing Nick Fury.
Hey, baby, I'm Nick Fury.
It's like, hey, baby girl, how's it going? It's like, why do you call that? Why do you say that to everyone? You call everyone baby girl. But aside from that, like, Idris Elba, just put him in more things because I love him.
Mo, we will talk about your fan fiction later.
Wait, could you add that in at this point? Because he was already in Thor.
As Heimdall. But he might die in Thor Ragnarok. We don't know.
Turns out he was Nick Fury all along, watching over Thor.
He takes off his hair. He's already got the goatee. And it's just...
Nice.
That would be pretty cool.
We move on to some DC news now.
So there was an open casting call from Warner Bros. For their Titans show.
Ooh.
Which has already cast their Nightwing.
Yes.
And their Starfire.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're looking for a teenaged Asian male. They're looking for someone who's funny, charismatic, and athletic.
Do they also have to be green?
That's my best guess, and it's pretty much everybody's guess at this point that they're casting Beast Boy. And that would be awesome. And that it seems that they're going for a very international cast. And a lot of people sometimes are questioning it, but you got to remember, Starfire, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because ultimately she's going to be turned orange.
Yeah.
Beast Boy is green, or depends. Sometimes he's different colors.
He's a
sometimes
beast.
They have him kind of grayish.
Boy, he's a beast boy.
But it looks like they're really getting, like a good team together. Yeah. And I'm so excited. And there's open casting calls like everywhere. Yeah. I've seen places in Toronto doing it. So if you're an Asian male, 13 to 15, and you're funny, you could be a superhero.
I mean, if I shave and pluck my eyebrows, I can pass for a teenager.
Pretty much, yeah. So there you go.
You heard it here first. Mo is Beast Boy.
Pizza! Awesome! Radical! I'm a cheetah.
Why are you so down, Raven?
Oh god. What if the casting call is for Raven?
Oh, those aren't out yet, I don't think so.
That would be insane.
Nice.
Are you goth? You're hired.
Oh god. It's like just the droves of high school students. The literal droves. By the truckload.
All the drama students.
Oh my god.
Was it up to me? Okay, we're switching topics, guys.
Yeah, that's why I'm pointing at you.
as the showrunner.
Thanks, Ben. In other DC news, Patty Jenkins is signed on for Wonder Woman 2. Woo. And she's officially the highest paid woman director in all of the history of film.
Hooray!
$8 million to sign on for Wonder Woman 2?
That seems pretty slim, actually.
It does.
That's a bigger issue.
Like, that's a whole nother issue in its own right. Like, I am so glad she's back because, as we saw with Wonder Woman 1, she has the critical eye for it. She knows what to do with the character, with the narrative, so on and so forth. And she's more than willing to fight for the character, for the scenes, and for the movie that should be made for this character.
The trench scene.
Yes.
Very important part of the movie. And had it not been for her fighting for it, it would not have been there. Literally, my favorite part of the movie would not be there.
Everyone's favorite part of the movie. That one scene was just like, okay, this movie is amazing.
The defining woman, the defining moment in Wonder Woman's character.
Yeah, and the higher ups were going, "Now we don't like it." Just. But yeah, so she's back, which is excellent news for Wonder Woman 2.
Curious to see if they're going to stick to the 80s Cold War thing, because it was rumored as the plot point, but now that she's back on and she's going to have say in this movie, will that stay?
I really want that say to just be an article about Wonder Woman's total gross for its theatrical run, and when they question her, she just slaps down a laminated copy of that article and says, "No, because this, sit down."
Pretty much.
I'm sorry, which one of our films has done the best? Oh, never mind then.
I can't
Patty Jenkins fired for creative differences.
Sorry, I can't hear you over this fresh rating.
It's like, oh my god, all the money. Oh no, all those records. Look at them breaking. My name's on that? Oh, I'm so sorry for breaking your records.
Womp womp.
But seriously, why is she only being paid $8 million?
Yeah, that's the bigger issue here.
I mean, she is single-handedly... Okay, sorry, she and Gal Gadot are pair-handedly...
Hand in hand, Mo. I believe the term is hand in hand.
Sure, let's go with that one. I said what I said. I'm going to stick by it. They are pair-handedly keeping the DC cinematic universe afloat and giving it one ray of hope. And you're paying her $8 million? And that's the record?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could see in the trailers, like for Justice League, the newer trailers, there's such a big focus on Wonder Woman. Because clearly she is now such a huge selling point of the film.
Yep.
When Wonder Woman is the selling point of the entire Justice League, obviously they can't show Superman at this point.
Even though we know he's gonna be in it.
But they can't do it, or people will lose their mind.
They shouldn't doomsday it, is essentially what they shouldn't do. They shouldn't reveal that Doomsday was right, in Batman v Superman, yeah. They shouldn't reveal, oh yeah, he's actually alive. Even though we know, just let us see how it comes about naturally.
Yeah.
But when Wonder Woman is obviously the big selling point for this giant franchise...
that hasn't been critically successful. It's been financially successful.
Yes.
But then again, so are Adam Sandler films.
Yeah. But Justice League should be a film that it should be the biggest film of the year. And that should be incredibly huge. She's a selling point. Give Patty Jenkins all of the money.
Yeah.
She has made you more money than you thought you could make. Yeah. With 3 Wonder Woman movies.
Yeah, no.
Give her everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give her DC films.
On a silver platter. Give her Jeff Johns' hat.
Actually, Jeff Johns can go with her, because I like him.
Give her the head of Ike Perlmutter, just because
on a stake.
I want him gone. I just want him gone so bad.
Have Wonder Woman decapitate him or something.
I mean, I'd be down for that.
There's no real reason for her to get his head. It's just a way to get...
Someone has to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just remove him already.
Keep him in a tower on Themyscira.
Yeah! And with that, we go back to a little bit of news in the Marvelverse. Spider-Man Homecoming. Its box office growth is higher than Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man.
Wow.
Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man grossed $821 million. Spider-Man Homecoming currently sits at $822.8. But it is not better than Spider-Man 3.
What?
Spider-Man 3, $890 million.
Oh my god, why did that make more money? And you can't blame it on inflation.
I think the best way to look at it is that it was right after Spider-Man 2.
And everyone wanted it to be good.
Spider-Man 2 is still regarded as one of the best superhero movies ever made.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you're going off the heels of that, people are going to go regardless. And it's still like, it was... Plus, back then, ratings weren't as easily accessible as they are today. For example, I don't think IMDb was around, but I don't think it was as what prominent. It is today. Yeah. Exactly. It wasn't as famous. It wasn't that easygoing website where everybody goes now.
Yeah.
And then them Rotten Tomatoes were just not, so big. So you didn't have a lot of peer-to-peer ratings. So now you have... Now you look at it that way. But back then, it was just kind of like, well, this person in the newspaper didn't like the movie, but I'll go see it anyway.
I mean, it's Spider-Man, and this guy's a stuffy person. So, I mean, we all remember when The Matrix came out. Every major critic on the radio and in newspapers panned it, but it was an amazing film.
It redefined cinema.
It did.
And in all fairness, Spider-Man Homecoming just recently came out in China, so it doesn't have all the China monies yet.
Oh, true.
And it's almost out on DVD. But yeah, it just recently came out in China, so all that money is not currently tallied up. We will see how that goes.
I think also a big thing to add is that Spider-Man Homecoming is one movie amongst many.
That's true.
Whereas that original trilogy was its own thing. Plus, that was at a time where superhero movies they weren't really getting made, or if they were getting made, they were not good.
Like Daredevil.
Yeah. And so it's kind of unfair to really count it as this kind of I want to say one-off movie, but it is kind of like, we got him. Let's make a movie out of him.
Yeah.
People will love it.
Yeah.
And if it's a good movie, hey, that's even better. Whereas the other one was really trying to be like, hey, we got to make something good out of this. So this is our own story. This is all. So people were attracted to that a lot back then.
Yeah, but I can understand that. I really don't want the worst of the Raimi Spider-Man films to just stay at the top.
No, it'll probably be Homecoming, let's face it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be Homecoming. Anyway, thank you for that perspective. We move on to the meat of our episode today. We've got It. Or It Has Us.
What are you talking about?
It.
I'm leaving.
What do you mean it?
It.
What qualify the statement?
It, the creature from a temporal dimension written by, Mr. King, and it is a movie about it.
Oh, it as in a proper noun. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just like, this doesn't make grammatical sense. Right. Yeah.
This is an English class.
I'm sorry. I need more coffee. Or less coffee. I don't know where I am.
The box office numbers are in. Thank you, Mo, for that beautiful discussion about coffee.
Rousing intro.
The box office numbers are in, and it is currently the movie with the biggest fall opening in history. It is also the highest grossing horror movie of all time. And it's the second most grossing R-rated movie just behind Deadpool with $123 million.
I mean, hooray. If it had come out in the summer, it might have saved Hollywood a lot of money.
The Hollywood summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is insanely good.
Haven't seen it.
What?
Actually, it hasn't shown up in the sewers beside me and told me to take it.
Oh.
I mean...
Well, I haven't seen it as I haven't gone to the cinema yet to see it.
Okay, so spoiler-free review then?
Yeah, for sure.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
scary as all get out, hits the narrative beats that it needed to from the book. A common problem that adaptations have is that they try to include way too much from the source material, and it doesn't translate well into a medium.
Right.
And consider something. Like, what made Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy work was how much they cut out.
Right.
Because there's a lot of superfluous information in there. What's made Game of Thrones successful was what they cut out, because there are so many useless characters in that series. What made this work is the fact that they recognized Stephen King describes a desk like other authors describe a city. So, like, in terms of like establishing worlds, no one does it better than this man living. Period.
Yeah.
Because things don't just have a history; things make sense internally. The sort of weird plot holes that you get with J.K. Rowling and even with George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, there we go.
The weird sort of why, like, but if that's true, then wouldn't this be a problem? Doesn't really happen with Stephen King. His worlds function because they're so fleshed out. Characters that you meet once always have this sense of, wait, this person has an entire life. We're just not paying attention to that right now.
Very, very Tolkien-esque.
Yes. Which is why they're approaching this movie in the same way that Peter Jackson approached The Lord of the Rings, is what's made it as successful as it is. It works on a structural level for the medium, which is the most important thing when you're taking from a source, especially a novel.
Yeah.
Now, okay, is the movie scary? Holy crap, yes.
Yeah. See, I want to see it because I want to, like, know how great the movie is, but I also don't want to crap my pants.
No, mutually exclusive goals there. That's not like you will walk out of this movie and just be like, there are shadows there. I don't want to be anywhere near this place. So, but that's your bed, honey. No.
So what time is it? It is like it's pretty much noonish. Do you want to go see it like in the next hour so that when we come out it's full daytime still?
I mean, so long as you don't look down and see the shadow between your legs, which may or may not be a trick of the light or what you just did to yourself.
We come out and it's super huge clouds that make everything dark and
right, the hurricane.
What's a new kids movie that's out?
Let's watch the Emoji Movie.
Yeah, no, not even then.
I feel like that would be scarier.
Like, the movie keeps to the themes from the novel. If you haven't read the novel, it's structural, like character-wise, it's great. A lot of people were worried about, hey, these are child actors. Don't be worried.
Well,
these are child actors, but they're good.
They plucked some of the best talent like out right now.
Yeah. And the guy that's playing Pennywise,
Alexander Skarsgård.
No, Bill Skarsgård.
Sorry,
Bill
his brother.
His brother is Alexander.
Yes.
One of 8.
Those Swedish.
Bill Skarsgård. Just okay. Everyone remembers the old Pennywise from the miniseries.
Tim Curry, yeah.
Tim Curry's, and that was like, hey, this is Tim Curry doing what Tim Curry does, where he takes a character and he just defines it.
Yeah.
This is Skarsgård going, give me a career. I've earned it in one take.
And he's a he's a pretty good looking guy. Yeah. And then you throw clown and the special effects and I don't want to go near him.
Yeah, no. The wonderful thing about this movie is that things are normal enough that you get situated in it.
Yeah.
But they're off kilter enough that constantly gives you the creeps. Like, the issue of the thing that scares you and the lasting impression of the movie isn't the jump scares. It's that everything is always subtly off. There's always something subtly wrong. And that just constantly nags at you throughout the entire film. And the best example of it is definitely the visual design for Pennywise in this, because what you saw in the 90s miniseries is, hey, here's a clown, and then we gave him fang teeth.
Yeah.
But he was otherwise just a clown. In this, he's deeply disturbing to look at because he's a clown from back in the Renaissance days where like sensibilities were different. Yeah. He's like dirty, he's got like deep shadows and stains. He's got all the clown makeup, but it's in the same way that you look at old pictures of Halloween costumes and you're just like, oh my God, that's the sort of design that they went with. And it's just so unsettling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nightmare fuel, pretty much.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I was actually really excited for a horror film though.
Yeah, this is one of the few examples of a horror film that I can look at and go, no, that's a horror film. Like, it doesn't oversaturate on gore. It doesn't just go jump scare after jump scare trying to get you scared. The last one that left a lasting impression like this on me was Silent House. Because that was another movie that did this same sort of thing where you didn't have too many jump scares, but you had this constant feeling of there's something there. Oh my God, when is it coming? Like, will it just come already? Oh my God.
The fear is ever present.
Yes.
That was me with Woman in Black.
Yes.
It got kind of panned. People didn't like it a whole lot, but that was the longest time in once where I was watching a movie and I was actually scared, but like in an incredibly well entertained way.
Yeah.
Because it's something as simple as, just you see something move in the background, unfocused, but it's just a little black shadow moves across. You're like, whoa! What is happening there?
Get me out of here.
I am so into this plot right now.
I have to go to the bathroom for the next, how long is left? Hour and a half. Okay.
Yeah. And even if nothing is happening, you just feel like something's going to happen. And it's sometimes nothing happens. And that's the best part.
Well, one of the common things on how to deal with a scary movie is to shut out the sound. That a lot of what makes modern horror films as scary as they are is that the sound design, the music especially, puts you in that tense mood.
Yeah.
And if you block it out, you don't have to deal with it. What sets movies like Silent House, as you were describing Woman in Black, and this, is that the visuals are unsettling. For many of the same reasons that we've just gone over. That either the design of them is natural but off, or there's things happening that aren't being focused on, but you still catch them. And things like that. It is a very, very well constructed, very well put together, proper horror film.
And I think the smart thing that they've done with this is, as you've mentioned before, is this movie only deals with the first half of the novel, if I'm correct?
Well, Stephen King's It, the novel, is more than 1,000 pages long, and it's essentially 2 books smashed together. Because so the creature Pennywise shows up once every 27 years, and fun trivia fact, this movie actually came out 27 years after
the original television?
Yeah, the Tim Curry miniseries. So it worked.
Perfect timing.
Right? The novel deals with the kids finding out about Pennywise, what he actually is, and banishing him. And then the second half of the book is them 27 years later and the fallout in their lives that these events happen and everything. Now, their adult side of things doesn't happen in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, obviously. Yeah.
That was all cut because you don't want to cram that into a film.
And
I'm grateful they didn't.
It also makes for franchisability.
Yes. And this movie has made buck and it is going to continue to make buck. There is going to be a sequel.
Haven't they already started working on it? I feel like production has already started on it.
They're like going to cast adult counterparts,
Yes.
which is I guess makes sense, but like I would have loved to see the kids in this movie do more, even though I haven't seen it, but I know they're pretty talented, but to see what else they could do.
I mean, if you put Skarsgård in cryogenic stasis and just wait 27 years, let the kids grow up a little bit. They did it with Boyhood, and that won an Oscar.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
It's the first horror film to win an Oscar. That'd be cool. Well, first? I don't know what the record is on that, but
I don't want to fact check it either, so I'm not going to fact check that. We'll just move on and assume that this might be the first one.
We'll let the internet correct us.
Yeah, very scary, making all the money.
Go watch it if you
scary amounts of money.
Yo!
Now I will preface this, like, go and watch it, but it is an expensive night. You do need to like buy some your size diapers before you go.
Get some Depends.
Ha! I already got some.
Joke's on you, Mo.
Ha.
I mean, I'm just saying that you're going to find more use out of it than you normally would over a week.
Be prepared to never sleep again?
That's what you think.
I mean, I can't get excited for 99 Red Balloons anymore. Like, that song comes on, and to me, it's just creepy.
No,
don't stop.
But
stop
play
it.
But play it in minor key.
Don't do that. Okay, I actually.
That'd be so creepy.
Actually, more creepy than that, I listened to the Imperial March in a major key, and it's downright disturbing.
Oh.
It should not be that happy. It's so wrong. In any case,
speaking of Imperial Marches, we've got some Star Wars news fresh off the bat. The last couple of days, things have been happening.
Yeah.
The current director that is supposed to helm Star Wars Episode 9, Colin Trevorrow, famous for Jurassic World, is been fired by Disney because creative differences, and apparently it's because he didn't get along well with Kathleen Kennedy. Their visions didn't quite align, I guess.
Huh. Okay.
Why do they keep firing all these great directors?
Because these are great directors that do a particular kind of movie, and that's the problem.
It doesn't fit the Star Wars mold?
Yes. That's the trouble with Star Wars, because it was in the hands of a moron for so long.
He was good at the beginning. Can we give him credit for the OG trilogy?
I will give him credit for the first and second movie.
Okay.
Because back then he had some level of integrity as a director and as an artist. You can see very clearly where that integrity flies right out the window towards the end of episode 2. Towards the end of episode 5 and into episode 6. And then you had the prequels. And as much fun as the memes are fun because the source material was bad. The thing is, it did all fit the same sort of structure, narrative, tone, and all of that, simply because it was always in the hands of George Lucas. And that's where you're running into problems. JJ Abrams is very good at making that style of movie, but he's JJ Abrams and he refuses to be tied down to the series, so he left after setting it right.
Right.
As he does.
Yeah, which is totally
Star
fair.
Trek, Lost, Star Wars.
Yeah, he does do it a lot. But you know what? He gave it the start that it needed. Rogue One was a departure from what we are used to, but it was still entertaining. It was still good. And we saw the issues with the Han Solo movie.
Right.
And even with Star Wars Episode... Wait.
8? No controversy with 8. It's just been Rian Johnson.
Yeah, yeah.
And the rumor is that they want to bring on Rian Johnson for Episode 9. He has no desire to do it, but that doesn't mean he won't. Which also, like, if you take that into account, they must be happy with Episode 8.
Yes.
Or they're happy because he conforms to their ideals and they want someone who does that.
Which also very fair. Now, you see, I had this discussion with a couple of friends, and they compared the Star Wars cinematic universe with that of Marvel. And you have instances within Marvel of directors kind of taking a different tone with a movie and everything, and it not bringing the whole universe down, which has been my common argument,
right?
With regards to cycling through these directors with Episode 9 and with the Han Solo standalone film.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Within Marvel, you had Thor, which is its own branch off of a tree. You had Doctor Strange, which is its own branch off of a tree. You had Ant-Man, which is its own branch off of a tree. But when they're brought into the central universe, when they're brought closer to the trunk, they've conformed to that. It is far easier to go from outside inward and adapt inward than it is to go in universe and start branching out. That was the problem with the Han Solo movie, that you know who this guy is going to be. You're filling in space between movies. You can't have him be an outlier.
Right.
So in terms of the spin-off movies, that's the common problem for Star Wars. In terms of main trunking, in terms of like the central story, same issue. You can't have quote-unquote visionary directors and visionary direction for that. You can't radically change the aesthetic because people are going to get jarred from it.
Right.
So they do need to toe the line. And the difficult thing within Star Wars is that it's always been in the hands of one guy, and it's changed hands. It would be no different than if Feige stepped down from Marvel.
Right.
You would see exactly the same things happening within the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And I think the concerning thing is, because the movie's already in pre-production, Episode 9 is in pre-production, and they're supposed to start filming soon, they need to find someone quick, and they need to find someone who can do a good job. I feel like, I don't know, like, would they turn to Ron Howard? I feel like they trust him with Han Solo. Would they turn to, like, the Ron Howards of the world?
Well, let's see how Han Solo turns out first before they start making calls like that.
Yeah, because Ron Howard is...
But he's like the typical, like, sort of adventure kind of movie maker, right? So would they turn to more of those kinds of filmmakers versus, you know, let's say the Taika Waititis of the world?
He's a very inoffensive movie maker.
Yeah.
He doesn't make anything that goes really out of line. He's just like, he just kind of makes the films what they are.
Which is what Star Wars has always been. It's just, here is a well-constructed, flashy, fun time. And there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I could see them going to the Ron Howards in Hollywood, or maybe even continuing, because the Han Solo movie is going to be interesting just because it's Ron Howard playing medic to something like, that was already well underway.
Picking up the pieces and sort of mushing it together to make a cohesive film.
Yeah. And because Episode 9 is still in pre-production, there isn't so much that's been done that whoever's brought in, it would still be primarily the film of the director that they bring in. So we will see what happens. That being said, when you hear reports about expensive reshoots and stuff for things, take that with a grain of salt. Every movie does reshoots.
Yeah.
It just happens. They're
scheduled.
Exactly. They are planned for in the budget. Every now and again, they go over budget.
Justice League.
But that's a matter of, hey, we didn't get the shot, and the shots that we have don't work in the editing room, so we need to try this again.
Yeah.
Heck, my thesis film, we allocated a week to reshoots if we needed it. So,
yeah, if
that shows, like, even, like, small budget or no budget films are willing to do reshoots.
Yeah. So take with a grain of salt the reports that you hear. And like, give them credit. This is Disney.
They know what they're doing.
Yes. They were smart enough to remove Perlmutter from the cinematic universe and keep it in Kevin Feige's hands, and we saw how that's paid off on both ends.
Some glorious Marvel films.
And some not so glorious Inhumans.
I don't want it to be bad, you know? I want all these properties to succeed because as the fans we are of these comic franchises, you don't want them to be bad because you want people outside of them to understand and appreciate the medium.
And that's totally fine. All I'm saying with Inhumans, and I'm sorry that we keep going back to this, all I'm saying with Inhumans is I have not seen anything that gets better later start off this bad. Like, they say skip the first season of Parks and Recreation. I watched it. It's a show that didn't know where its feet were. But it wasn't bad. It just wasn't particularly compelling. All the ingredients were there. This has no ingredients. You don't even have a bowl. It's an empty countertop.
I just want, you know, cinematographers to be able to use a camera properly. Is that too much to ask?
Maybe it is, Ben. Maybe it is.
I mean, why am I still unemployed as a cinematographer?
I mean, we had more than shot reverse shot for dialogue in the new Star Wars films. I mean, their new cinematography is much better than the prequels.
Hell, we got better cinematography on Nerdling Rush, and it's an audio podcast.
Yeah!
That's true.
Someone had to say it.
That camcorder is recording video.
Oh, I forgot to turn it off.
Well, the NSA is recording it. We could just send them an email, be like, hey, we need that actually.
You do realize I wouldn't be dressed as a nerd hobo if I knew that there was a visual component for any of this.
Buddy, I'm in my underwear.
I was really hoping they were
from the waist up.
I was so hoping those were shorts. Okay.
Who wears short shorts?
He wears short shorts.
No, I'm not wearing short shorts. I'm just wearing my boxers.
Oh, boy.
I woke up 10 minutes before you guys asked me to be on the show.
That's how little notice you get as a co-host here.
Oh. Why am I sitting next to him? He's your roommate.
And you know what? Let's get back to topic. How about that Len Wein?
Oh yeah,
passed away in the last couple of days. Guy who's had his hands in a lot of comic properties, very influential properties. Co-created Wolverine, picked up and made X-Men viable after the Stan Lee and Kirby days, and essentially created some of the like pinnacle characters for that franchise: Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm.
Yeah,
and even with DC, he had a big impact. Co-created Swamp Thing. Amanda Waller even had his hand in editing Watchmen at the time.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, everything that you have seen adapted, he has done.
Yeah, he's even penned episodes of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And has had his hand in literally everything and was a big part of comics as we know it, and them growing into he's basically seen the evolution of comics from the start to his death, so for it to grow into the mainstream.
Yeah. As far as the legacy goes, and as far as witnessing your own legacy goes, I don't think you could have anything greater than that. And you'll probably see this, we'll probably make exactly that comment again when Stan Lee's day eventually comes. But Stan Lee is the recognizable face of the comic book industry as it stands today. Len Wein was one of the foundational members of that industry that didn't often get the spotlight, but certainly deserved it.
Definitely.
So thank you for your grand work, Mr. Wein. Yeah. So what are you reading nowadays?
We've got this brand new segment we're going to start introducing just to give you sort of an idea of what's current and what's new and what we're interested in, and maybe you are too. We call this segment the Pull List. Yay!
Now, when you say pull, are we skeet shooting or...
No, like, in comic book shops when you have a pull list of comics that you want them to keep aside, to keep it nerdy. We're not shooting anything.
I mean, I don't know. We've been shooting a lot of shade at Ike Perlmutter.
And people have been shooting hurricanes recently.
Why?
Another discussion for another podcast. But what's on your pull list?
The sheriff's department had to issue a warning and ask people not to... Okay, so on my pull list, I recently ran into this this comic out of Image Comics called Monstress. And like the first 2 collected volumes are out in trade back. I don't know what to make of it, but I like it.
Give us some background.
So the basic story is about this young girl who lives in this kind of quasi-steampunk, quasi-mystical version of modernity, which is sort of modernity, but also not. Heavily influenced by Chinese and Japanese folklore, or at least Far East folklore. Mm-hmm. She can hear this voice of what is essentially this insanely powerful demon. And it's about the way that she can upset the balance of power in the world and her exploration of this world. If you're a fan of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan, this is the fantasy version of that. From what I've read so far. Mm-hmm. I'm about halfway through the first volume of the first 2, and I am just in love with this. The art is top-notch.
Nice.
It's incredibly well done.
Very good, very good. Ben, anything for you?
Well, something actually came into my world recently that I had no idea actually existed.
You're a father!
No, he hasn't come back.
Baby Metal? Is it Baby Metal?
Man, Baby Metal. I got Funko Pops of Baby Metal since...
I see that.
Yeah. Oh, they're great. No, Injustice. I love Injustice.
For sure.
It is one of my favorite comic book stories because to me it's just kind of like... It's what I want comics to be. It's a story revolved around characters, but everybody makes an appearance at some point or another.
Yeah.
And so their 5-year run... ended for Injustice.
Yeah.
And now Injustice 2 came out, the game, and the comic series is on its way out. I usually buy them in volumes. I prefer buying in volumes. So I was going to Indigo to check out, when's the next one coming out. What I noticed, there is a in-between happening.
Yeah.
Injustice Ground Zero.
Yeah.
It is Injustice, the first year, as told from Harley Quinn's point of view.
Damn.
And it's very interesting because you see her go from, being part of the problem to becoming part of the solution. But at the same time, you see how all these obstacles she has to go through and, they affect her. But at the same time, you see how it makes her more, I don't want to say human, but,
less crazy.
Exactly.
It's the Injustice comics for me were one of the greatest kindnesses done to Harley Quinn's character.
Yeah.
That you saw her break down next to Black Canary when she realized Black Canary was pregnant, and admit that
I'm not going to fight you now.
And it wasn't just that I don't punch pregnant women. It was I had a daughter. Mr. J never knew about it. She's being raised by my sister. Which was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it was this incredible moment.
Yeah.
So to not only to have the Ground Zero thing, how all of this started from a different point of view, but to have it from her point of view. I'm with you on this one.
And I was kind of worried at first when I saw it because I thought, is this going to be another book that they're just kind of going off the Harley Quinn, current explosion of fame, since Suicide Squad, she's kind of had her
huge explosion.
She's become like one of the biggest. Well, what was it? She was named recently like one of the pillars of DC Comics.
Yeah,
and which is very not usually like a huge thing for someone who's created like 25 years ago
for an animated series.
Yeah, and also originally as just kind of a throwaway character.
Yeah,
but. So, she kind of went through that, and so I got kind of worried that it would be, just capitalizing off of that, as you said. Not at all.
Good.
It's just a good story about her navigating through this crazy world.
Definitely worth a read then, I guess.
Absolutely.
Nice.
What about you, Dom?
So I've got a couple I'm currently reading. Coming back from Fan Expo, that's usually when I go crazy and buy all kinds of comics I've been meaning to buy and come across things maybe I didn't think I would find that were interesting. So I've got two. I've got Daredevil Born Again by Frank Miller, and I'm currently reading that. So it was an 80s run on the character, and essentially the plot is, well, what happens if the Kingpin basically tears away both the Matt Murdock and the Daredevil side of Matt Murdock and takes away everything he is and breaks him down to nothingness of a man. Pretty cool story. Really good so far. Not done yet, but definitely worth a read. It's got some really awesome visuals. Definitely feels like a very Daredevil-centered like piece. They really break down who he is as a character, and it's very well done. Number two is actually an Image Comics publishing called Wayward. And this is essentially Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but set in Japan. And it deals with Japanese like creatures and folklore and myths and everything. And these characters have like powers that are based in Japanese lore. Like this one character, he can't eat food. It doesn't sustain him. He has to consume the souls of the dead, which gives him energy and power and strength and whatever, but it's the only way he can fulfill the need of hunger.
Yeah.
You've got this one character who is basically a cat lady, but she can also like turn into cats and summon cats and has cat-based powers. Kind of cool stuff. They deal with these very folkloric characters, and every trade sort of ends with essays on the creatures that you've come across so far and sort of breaks them down for you and gives them the lore. Really cool stuff. Definitely worth a read. I've powered through 2 volumes easy, and now I have to buy the next 2 because it is just so captivating.
Excellent.
That's our list. That's our pull list.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's our show. So, once again, thank you all for listening. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about the pull list segment. And, of course, share your thoughts about anything that we've discussed today. With that being said, I'm Will.
I'm Dom.
And I'm Ben.
We'll see you in the future.
Unless there's a time machine, in which case we'll see you yesterday.
Very true.
And thanks to that one guy for requesting me to come back.
Yeah. Thank you, person on iTunes.
We appreciate you.
Thank you for listening. Okay. Bye now.